To get this started, I want to introduce our moderator for this evening. I'm so excited. She put this entire thing together, and I was so thrilled for all the work she did. But I want to introduce you to Nicole Duncan-Smith from the Advisory Board of the Hip Hop Museum.
Microphone check, 1, 2, what is it? What's up, everybody? My name is Lil Nikki Duncan-Smith, right? Lil Nikki is what I go by. Most people know me, and I'm from West Philadelphia, born and raised. And the playground is really where I spent most of my days. And back then, I was talking to Miss Malika Love, who is an icon, legacy artist from Philadelphia. And we talked about those early times and how rap music in those early years, 79, 80, 81, 82, really was substantive in Philadelphia. Oh, you hear the Bronx story. How many of y'all knew that last year was the 50th anniversary of hip hop? So you heard that story over and over and over again. But there would be no Jay-Z on the radio. There would be no Lauryn Hill on the radio, actually, at all, because she was signed here first. But I'm jumping ahead. Without Philly being ingrained in the culture. So before we get started, I want to do a little roll call. And y'all can clap if y'all know these people, or you could just be delighted and amazed because I'm sharing some new information. Lady B, 1979. Schoolie D, 1985. MC Breeze, Fresh Prince, Jazzy Jeff, Steady B, Cool C, Malika Love, Yvette Money, MC Ludacris, EST, 3 Times Dope, Larry Lair, Tough Crew, Too Many, State Property, that means Beanie, Siegel, and Freeway. The Roots, Major Figures, Mentally Gifted, The Youngsters, Eve, Bahamadia, Meek Mills, Rocky, PNB Rock, Little Uzi Vert, Tracy Lee, Jamal from Illegal, Ram Squad, Ines, Reed Dollars, Jack Frost, Joey Jihad, Cassidy the Hustler, Robbie B, Jewel T, Crowd Rulers, even though they ain't from here, they kind of like over the bridge, we still claim them. Perry P, Charlie Baltimore, Cash Money and Marvelous, Tierra Whack. And the list does go on, but that's just an exhaustive, just roll call of the folk in Philly that's been laying it down since 1979. And while this is about rap music, y'all do know that Cornbread, who's accredited as being the first person to be a graffiti artist, he's also from Philly. How about that? The city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. So I'm going to ask the panelists to kind of introduce themselves. We're going to start with Malika, Caliph, and then we'll go over to Chris, and then to my friend, my brother, Sherman Byers.
Hello, my name is Malika Love, one of the first female MCs from Philadelphia, one of the first female MCs to get signed in Philadelphia, one of the first female MCs to engage in battles with male MCs, because initially when the battle started, they were only with male MCs, and then the females came into play. So I was one of the first MCs to go and battle in the rap contest in New York. They used to take place at Jack the Rapper and in Atlantic City. They had battles so I was one of the first females to do that. I was one of the first to get signed to a major label, which Select Records was a major label at the time. So I went from Bobby Dance Records to Select Records. And I'm from West Philadelphia, born and raised as well.
But wait. After you guys give your brief introduction, you have to give the crowd your Philly Mount Rushmore, your Philly rap Mount Rushmore.
Rap Mount Rushmore. I have to say Bobby Dance. Bobby Dance is one of the first promoters in Philadelphia to bring hip-hop music to the city. And he actually made an avenue for the artists, a lot of artists from New York, to actually become known. I would have to say Lady B, because she was one of the first female MCs on Wax, in addition to the first female MC to have a radio show and play hip hop music, and she rallied for hip hop music, I would have to say Will Smith because he took it to a whole nother level. And I would have to give some credit to one of my family members, Ines. He actually was a part of starting the whole reality series, and he's taken it to a whole nother level. He was one of the only ones from his series, The Band, one of the only ones to actually get signed to Bad Boy. And then he went on to do, he actually went on to do battle rap as well. And he's been in the battle rap circus for a long time. In addition to now, he's reinvented himself and he's back on the scene again. So I just give it to those people.
I like that. I like that. I like that. Come on, Caliph. Come on, Caliph. Give it up. Give it up. Come on.
Good afternoon, good early evening, everyone. My name is Caliph Gamble. I'm co-founder of the Sons of Legends, and I'm from the Gamble Huff and Bell family, representing Kenny Gamble as his firstborn. So, what, Rushmore first, or just what?
Yeah, bring it.
Rushmore is difficult for me because, I mean, I'm just gonna go rappers and DJs. I gotta give Schoolie D. He's gotta be on my Mount Rushmore, especially when you see the landscape of the industry now. He was well ahead of the game. I'm gonna go DJ Cash Money. Cash Money was a marvel then and still to this day. I'm gonna go Will Smith as well. They brought the first Grammy to hip hop. I would say, I wish I could couple. Can I just do? No, well, Jeff, so Will Smith. And just a little something from the newer era, I'm gonna go Gillie the King. Gillie was a favorite of mine when he and his EA All Day, this was around the turn of the millennium when just everything started to change. I mean, we were a few years away from Tower Records being, null and void. And let me say, the distribution method started to change with mixtapes, DVDs, and they were doing some really amazing things, I thought, with Erie Ave. And I know Beanie Siegel and all the artists at Rockefeller got a lot of the attention, but from a local level, I really thought that Major Figures and the work that they were doing kind of spearheaded a lot of that activity back then.
Thank you, Caliph. You heard earlier, they said I'm on the advisory board of the Hip Hop Museum that's in the Bronx, New York. I share an advisory role with my brother over here, Chris Schwartz. What's up, Chris? How you doing? Give us a little introduction and then also tell us your Mount Rushmore of Philly hip hop.
Okay, my name is Chris Schwartz. I am the co-founder of Rough House Records, and my current company is Rough Nation Entertainment. We are right now the largest independent distributor of hip hop by heritage hip hop artists in North America. But Rough House was my first company with Joe Nicolo, and we had a lot of artists. I think like over 75 at one point, not all at the same time, but the Fugees, Cypress Hill. We signed DMX. We signed Nas.
I don't know if
Chris
y'all
Brown.
heard him.
Yeah.
Y'all acting like y'all didn't. This man didn't just say Lauryn Hill and the Fugees. I mean the Fugees, not Lauryn Hill and the Fugees, but
Yeah, Lauren has just been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame next week or the week and a half from now, just for the Miseducation Lauryn Hill. So Mount Rushmore 4. Can we do a 2-for-1? If it's a partnership, not I'm not talking about myself.
They can do a partnership.
But,
They can do a partnership.
Yeah. So I would say the Goodman Brothers. Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Well, we can share it, right? Yeah. Lawrence and Dana, only because, if anything, they actually had, in my humble opinion, the first actual legitimate hip hop label. It was independent. They were actually fiercely independent until at the close of the 80s, and I remember Dana saying that if you're not with a major by 1990, then you're going to be in trouble, right? And he actually saw the writing on the wall long before a lot of people. But they cracked the code and they knew how to get it done. And they had Roxanne Shante. Who else? You know, yeah, they had,
But
they had a lot of artists.
They had
They had a lot of
Juice
New York
Crew,
artists, which
Juice
was-
Crew. They
Yeah.
had, yeah. A lot of MC Shan.
Right, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, the Hilltop Hustlers, the whole thing, and so that would be that's the 2 for 1, my Mount Rushmore. The second one would be Schoolie D, who I started working with in the very beginning. He was the first artist. And let me see, Schoolie, I'm going to put my ex-partner Joe Nicolo up there as number 3 because he was a partner in Studio 4, and Studio 4 was the recording studio for a good amount of years. If you were recording hip hop in Philadelphia, that's where you went, and like he recorded everybody. Let me see, number 4, that's a tough one. I could go Will Smith. I'm gonna go Beanie on that one. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go Beanie.
Okay.
I like it. And I want to apologize to Caliph for not giving him his twofer. Who would have been your twofer?
Well, my twofer, I mean, I said Cash Money, but DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince, they're together. And when we got, I probably would have just gone the legendary Roots crew instead of Gilly, because I was trying to pick individuals, but it's difficult for me to pick an individual from the Roots crew. So if I get a little, you know, I didn't want to.
You say the Roots?
The legendary Roots crew.
Shout out to the Roots. Kappa graduates. Mrs. Sherman.
I don't even know what to say after all this just transpired. But my name is Sherman Byers. I'm the co-founder of a management company, Black Friday Entertainment. Sometime in the late 90s, myself and my brother started a management company, and we had acts like Eve, Beanie Siegel, Freeway, the whole State Property crew, Philadelphia's Most Wanted, just to name a few. If it wasn't for guys like Chris Schwartz, Joe, Phil Nicolo, being pioneers that kind of ushered us in, all of what transpired probably wouldn't have happened for the artists that we wound up managing. Those artists that we managed, especially with Eve and Beanie Siegel, they were actually anchors. Beanie Siegel, for instance, was the anchor for Jay-Z's company, Rockefeller. Eve was the anchor for Rough Riders. Both of those companies, both Rockefeller and Rough Riders, wound up being premier furnishing companies in the urban music space. It was a great journey, a great time. I have a mound of stories probably to tell today, but I'd have to say my Mount Rushmore. As a unit would definitely have to be the Roots without a shadow of a doubt. As architects, I'd have to say my architects from a Mount Rushmore standpoint would be my guys at Rough House Records. Then when it comes to my MCs, I definitely have to say Will Smith is definitely top tier. And then second MC would be Black Thought, without a shadow of a doubt.
So you got one more.
Oh man, I still got one?
Because you gave the Roots their love.
Oh,
You said legendary Roots crew.
I'll roll up my man, Schoolie D, without a shadow of a doubt.
Y'all ain't asked me, but I would say my Mount Rushmore is LG. I mean, Dana too, but I would say LG. It's just Lawrence Goodman. It would be Bobby Dance. Shout out to Bobby Dance, who is my uncle.
Bobby, your uncle?
Bobby's my uncle. I don't say that out loud too much, but he is.
The cornucopias.
Come on, you know, dances.
Yeah.
Lady B would be my third. And my fourth person would be, it's up in the air. I want to say Amir for Questlove specifically. And I want to say Jazzy Jeff, right? Because when you look at, you can swap it out either way, because I'll probably change it tomorrow. But the reality is that when you look at what they've done, not just for themselves, but for other artists, that's just as important to me too. So making sure that Philly artists and Philly architects, I like the term Sherman has coined this, that the rap architects are just as important as the artists, just as important as carving out a lane for Philly as a mecca. Well, if hip hop, if the Bronx is the mecca, I would argue that Philly would be Medina. You know, it would be just as important, you know. And I know people want to go to Queensbridge, and I know y'all want to go to Brooklyn, but no, when you look at Philly, there's a dynamic that happened with radio alone, right? So I love that if the panel can talk about, I'm gonna throw out Lady B, and talk about not just that she's the first woman to make a record, a rap record, right? That's fire. The woman from Philly, West Philadelphia, is the first woman in the world to create a rap record. She was signed to Sugar Hill Records at 18. But instead of just being an artist, she was still in school and she decided to do some radio, and then she convinced them to allow her to put hip hop on the radio. Now, while hip hop was on the radio in New York with Mr. Magic, that was only late night and sometimes.
Yeah, hip hop was, I would say that the black radio treated hip hop in the very beginning. They treated it like like they sent it to school wearing wingtips and pocket protectors because they were nervous about it. They were worried about advertisers and what they would think of it, and how it was going to impact the station. And crazy enough, the song that, you know, just in my humble estimation, I think the song that really kind of broke it open. Because remember when Lady B started WHAT, there wasn't enough. Well, I was talking with Amir about this on his show, that there wasn't enough music to even really program an entire 2-3 hour show, right? So they would play hip hop on radio up until a certain point. It was like a lot of gimmicky songs and stuff like that, and songs about girls and this, UTFO, and but it was really the nucleus jam on it was the song that broke it open, because that song got, as silly of a song as it is, it's a bona fide electro funk, type of track, and it really gave black radio the idea that, wow, you know what, people are into this, and it's non-offensive, it's not hurting anybody, and advertisers don't care, and that broke open a lot for hip hop and radio.
I love that. What was it like to have somebody like Lady B play your record?
It was extremely exciting. In addition to, she had a countdown. She used to have a countdown.
Yeah.
So you had to make the countdown. You had to make the countdown in order to be, before you actually got on the countdown, you had to make the countdown, and then you would hope that you could be featured. It was like overly exciting to have her play the record. It was unbelievable, in all honesty. I got into a lot of trouble as a teenager, and wound up going to studios and stuff and hanging out with Bobby Dance and Lady B and them, and I was a lot younger than them. But when I actually...
Shout out to your moms over here who let you go. We appreciate that.
Actually on the radio, they didn't believe what I was doing. They was just like, what are you doing out all times of the night around all these different strange people? And I had family in the entertainment industry as well. The Chambers brothers that was working with your father and them. Yes, so they thought it was a fad. They thought it was funny. Yeah, my Uncle Roland used to tell me that's the fad. That hip hop bebop stuff that they're doing is a fad. So for it to actually turn over, and I wound up on the radio, and I was on the countdown, and I actually, they used to vote. So people would call in and vote, and I made it. So I was actually able to get played, over and over again. So
that was a big deal.
Yes.
That was a major thing.
Yes.
And also, that was like really, if you went anywhere else in the country, other cities, major metropolitan cities, didn't have an established scene with a radio station driven
Yes.
by a personality like Philly, you know?
Yes.
Of course, New York, but
even New York, and I love this. Malika Love and I, because I'm just about to stun on y'all real quick. We were at the Run DMC. They had a series, right? So we were hanging out there, and Chuck D from Public Enemy ran to Lady B. Ran. Pete Rock. Oh, that's Lady B. Naughty by Nature. Oh, there she
Everybody.
is. Come here, take a picture with me. Kid Capri, all of them. Because when nobody would put them on the radio during the daytime, she was putting people on the day. Philadelphia was the only city that allowed rap music to be played during the daytime.
Yep.
That's something really, phenomenal.
especially Philadelphia is it's the hardest market to break a record in.
Yes.
When they have these big conference calls among the program directors and music directors, Philadelphia is a key place because it's really hard to break a record here. And they say if you can break a record in Philadelphia, it can happen anywhere. Oh, sorry.
For the people in the back. So I think that was wonderful. Talk to me a little bit about your first, because we're talking about some legacy stuff with hip hop in Philly. There was a time West Philly just was housing everything. And then you had like this Will Smith guy, and then you had this Steady B guy, right? What was that dynamic like to see these two different sides of hip hop kind of emerging? It was like this very hustler rap. Like before there was a Jay-Z, before there was like the Nas kind of talk, the Hilltop Hustlers were kind of doing that. And then you have Will Smith, who there are very few people, even now, that have digestible hip hop like the Fresh Prince.
It was nobody I know that did. He basically made hip hop records without using one piece of profanity. I mean, that's an amazing feat, given the amount of records he has sold globally, to be able to do that.
He was a storyteller.
Yeah, yes.
He told stories. And a lot of times, New York rappers weren't susceptible to that.
Wow.
They thought, you've heard them say he was soft. He was a soft rapper. But he stuck with what he wanted to do.
That Summertime track, when that came out, I think that all changed.
Why you say that, Sherman?
It's funny that you say that because at one time my brother was the director of A&R at Atlantic.
We're talking about Mark Byers, the legendary Mark Byers.
So we used to always get the beat down. Everything in Philly is Will Smith silly. Y'all don't have any hardcore rappers. So
I'll tell you somebody that changed that dynamic a little bit. EST from 3 Times Dope.
absolutely.
EST, the unusual fellow, the greatest man alive. I'm sorry, I really like rap music.
We recorded all those records.
We know.
Literally every single record we talked about in here was done at Studio 4.
History. I mean, while we say that, Cool C and
Yep.
3D, so there's like, we love the concept. Y'all heard Roxanne by UTFO? Rest in peace, Can't Go Kid. So they had this song called Roxanne, right? Yo, Kango, yo, what's up, girl? Like, and it was dissing this girl for being stuck up, for not talking to them. And so, then you have Marley Marl, who's from Queensbridge, knows this little girl named Roxanne. Her real name is Shantae Goodman. And they say, wow, let's do a song where we're gonna answer that, right? So it's Roxanne Shantae answers with Roxanne's Revenge. Mr. Magic plays the song on WBLS,
Yeah.
right? And Lawrence Goodman, we talk about Lawrence Goodman and Dana Goodman, those two brothers. Lawrence Goodman heard it, taped it, and printed it up on Pop Art Records.
Yeah, Frank Virtue mastered it. I was there when he mastered it, and the video was made at my house in West Philly because my roommate was Rich Murray, who directed the video for Lawrence and them. So I came down. The shoot went till like 3:30 in the morning. At like 9:30 on Sunday morning, I came down. Mr. Magic, Marley Marl, and I forget who else were watching TV in my living room with blankets, watching cartoons, eating cereal. These are like the most powerful guys in hip hop, though. Think about it.
Was
It's
Fly
like,
Ty? Was Fly Ty there too?
Yeah. Tyrone Williams. That's it. I forgot about Ty. Yeah, it was Ty, Mr. Magic, Marley Marl.
Yo, so imagine it. So Lawrence Goodman gets this. He gets the, and I love to hear Fly Ty talk about this because he's like, why didn't we do it? Because y'all wasn't thinking, y'all wasn't from Philly either. So LG puts this out on Pop Art and explodes. It's one of the biggest records ever at the time, because after Roxanne Shante does her callback to Roxanne, then it was Roxanne's mother, Roxanne's father. There was 100 different remakes based off of that one song.
We did them up at Virtue. We made like 20 Roxanne records on compilations, like just ridiculous.
And so I circled this back to the Hilltop Hustlers, because one of the like back and forth things that they did was this song called Glamorous Life.
Yeah.
So Glamorous Life, then like somehow Hilltop Hustlers included 3 Times Dope, which was from Mount Airy. Hilltop is a very West Philly crew. It's actually a crew from West Philly. And so somehow 3D gets down with them. So they do Glamorous Life, Funky Dividends, and this is kind of like when they were beefing, but then it's like, Do You Want to Go Steady? So it talks about this girl trying to spend all, keep this girl, I'm a trick on you, spend all this money on you. Then you got EST saying, I can't do that. Like, I don't, all she wants is my money. And it's like, when I was with them, they gave me everything, So then they were beefing, I guess, and Cool C says, when I was with that nut EST, it's a very cultural thing. And so to see this whole, Lawrence knew that if you do a reply record, you could keep it going. And one of the, outside of Roxanne Shante, there was another reply record out of Philly by a sister, by a woman.
Back Money.
My sister, that's
Yeah,
right.
I put it out. It was her first record.
LL
You did what?
I put out Mac Money and DJ QST.
Oh my
They were on
God.
Rough House.
Yeah.
They were our
Sure
very
was.
first artist.
So there was a song called Dear
Dear
Yvette.
Yvette.
Oh, we didn't do the Schoolie thing she did. She did a Schoolie. She did a PSK thing. I never even knew about that record.
Okay, so there you go. So Yvette Money must have been dissing everybody. So she dissed Schoolie D. Who else? Come on, tell me.
I was talking about Mac Money.
Oh, Mac Money. Well,
Mac Money.
Back money.
oh, we
Yeah.
talk about Yvette Money, that sister.
Yeah.
So
She made it big by doing the response to LL's Dear Yvette. Yeah, so she had Yvette's Revenge.
Dear Yvette, dear Yvette. Oh, you'll regret. You said it.
What you said.
You said it. Oh my, I was there.
Yes.
I was there at the parties. And so that's the thing. I'm geeking out because I was a kid in Bobby Dance used to have these parties at 52nd Street on the Y. And that's where all of the rappers from New York, from Jersey, and from Philly would all come to do their shows, kind of testing because the big clubs didn't allow people. I mean, I guess the first ones would have been in Sherman, you could tell me, the Troc or After Midnight.
After Midnight.
The Wind.
After Midnight was like a lot of the New York acts, like Public Enemy's first show here was the After Midnight. Chuck told me that when they came here to do their first show, after the show, he had the van drive him out to Parkside. And he sat there in the van and looked around the neighborhood for like an hour or so. And the reason he did that, because he was really, really into Schoolie, and he went as far as to tell me he became a rapper after he heard PSK.
So
Chuck
D said, what? Chuck D said that he became a rapper.
Chuck D, yeah.
Y'all know, bang, how low can you go? That's
Yeah.
from Philly. Come on, y'all gotta connect the dots. Connect the dots, y'all.
I distribute his label. It's Spitslam. I put out, I was right there, and he's told me this on countless occasions. And you know, him and Schoolie and Ice are all like a, you know, very tight. And he said he heard PSK, and that's when he decided to become a rapper. Now, and that made sense to me because I've heard live versions of him doing PSK, which made, like, at the time I was like, why is Chuck D doing PSK? It doesn't really go with his narrative. But
What is interesting is that we all know that Chuck D is a prophet of fury. He's one of those, you know, fight the power type MCs, but also Ice-T says the same thing. And they look at PSK and Schoolie D as being the actual father of gangster rap. We're not gonna put a judgment on or not, just I'll let y'all have that information.
He is, because it's a simple fact that up until PSK, there was no record like it. Ice-T popularized it though.
Right.
His 6 a.m. And also, here's the thing: you look at Eazy-E, NWA. I worked those records when they came out, and they were, Easy Does It and Dope Man. That was PSK.
Oh man, let's put the nail in the coffin. Dr. Dre said he was influenced by him, and that's just it.
He did.
That's it.
Period.
So I want to make a quick shift, and I want to bring Caliph in the story a little bit, because one of the things that I find really fascinating is that your dad, being the visionary that is, y'all know who his father is, Kenny Gamble, Philadelphia International Records, Sound of Philadelphia, all those great things. Like, you can't imagine, his mother is Deanna Williams. So imagine, like, your dad is him and your mom's is her. Like, what is this? No wonder why you are great. But talk about how your dad was one of the first people to approve samples. If you know hip hop, you know that in the very beginning, a lot of artists, we look at De La Soul, we love them, but they used samples and they didn't get approved, and so those records couldn't go out. And a lot of people, whether we're talking about James Brown originally, or we're talking about, Prince and Stevie Wonder and all of them, they wouldn't approve samples. But your dad did. So talk to us a little bit about sampling, and what did his approval for sampling do for the culture and also for his enterprise?
Well, as Malika stated a little while ago, they did believe that it was like a fad or a trend initially, but as I become more familiar with his philosophies and things now, and he thinks sampling is phenomenal. He thinks it's paying respect to the creators, original creators, as long as they go about doing their business right. That he's all in favor of sampling. And what we were just talking earlier today about the one song, Dilemma. Dilemma was Nelly and Kelly, and it was derived from Love, Need, and Want You by Patti LaBelle. And that song,
Y'all can clap for that. That song got a Grammy.
That song came out probably early '80s, right? And then that derivative that Nelly and Kelly did, that was like after the millennium. And I remember Bunny Sigler, great writer from the Philadelphia International. Wasn't Bunny great? Bunny was great. Yeah, so phenomenal. I remember Bunny and my father one day coming up in Larry Gold's studio because they were about to do a photo shoot because that song went #1. And I was assistant engineer at the time, and I didn't know. Larry surprised me because he was like, see, I didn't tell you your father was coming to the studio today. But to see them, where that record was probably recorded 30 years prior, and here it was, they were celebrating a new #1 record of a production that they had no idea took place. They were both overjoyed. And to see them celebrating a #1 record that the next generation had embraced and come up with a completely new rendition, it was a special moment to see them celebrate that, be celebrated. And like you said, that had been going on for about 20 plus years at that point. So I'm proud of my father. I didn't know about the decision at the time, obviously. I'm sitting here listening to a lot of the stories of y'all connecting the dots. And as Todd mentioned a moment ago, Philadelphia in particular is one of the pinnacle music capitals of the globe, by far. Generation after generation, Philadelphia has time and time again produced entertainers and contributors to the art form that have really pushed the needle. I know this is a hip hop discussion, but you think about Billie Holiday's and Marian Anderson's, and all the way to where we are now, the wave that the Sound of Philadelphia created globally. Neo Soul, we were talking about the Black Lily earlier, and I agree with you. I couldn't agree more, Todd. Philadelphia has time and time again shown improved and really pushed the envelope.
And just while I know you mentioned Black Lily, I want to shout out to Rich, right? Rest in peace. But what Rich did, everybody clap. So, and Amir and Black Thought and all of them, when they did this, when they got behind this Black Lily movement, it was other people too, but they were really pushing it. Out of that movement comes Jill Scott. Mm-hmm. Out of that movement comes Bilal. Out of that movement comes Erykah Badu, Flowetry, Jaguar, Music Soul Child. This whole concept of neo soul was rooted in the hip hop space. Mm-hmm. It was where hip hop and now we love Diddy. Shout out to him. I mean, he needs all of our prayers right now. Shout out to him, you know. But what he did with Mary J. Blige is good, right? The hip hop thing. But it's different when you have this feeling because the type of neo soul really is an extension of the sound of Philadelphia.
Absolutely.
It really is, right?
And I think England was like, they were like the first real supporters of it when it resurged, when it started to happen again. And there was a group called Skunk Hour. They were in Australia, right? They came out in the 90s. Thank you again, Caliph. I forget I have a microphone sometimes because I talk so much. But this group came out in the 90s in Australia called Skunk Hour, and I just heard them for the first time like 2 nights ago. And I'm listening to it, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds like that could have been a group right out of Philly in the 90s. And I had come to know the daughter of one of the guys, and she said that was their biggest thing, their biggest influence, all those Philly groups in the 90s, you know?
Wow, that's crazy. That makes me also think, because this goes back to what Sherman says about architects. In addition to, and you get all, I'm sure you walk into every room and they're like, oh, Gamble, oh, are you related? But your mom and your dad, shout out to them for being the pioneers of Black Music Month, June being Black Music Month. But in addition to that, your mom started the I Am Conference.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about I Am Conference? And then I would like for you to kind of jump in, Sherman, and talk about how that impacted hip hop.
Now, you would be better suited to talk about I Am, you know, because truth be told, Nikki was babysit, or she was watching me from time to time. So I didn't see I Am through the same lens that she did, or maybe Sherman or other participants. I was really young, but in hindsight, I know that this was, I think we did like 13 of those I Ams, consecutive summers, where she was bringing music execs and celebrating artists. I remember meeting like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis at a super young age, and she was giving them the Diamond Award for Excellence. That was the gala that we used to do, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Diamond Award for Excellence. And this was an extension of a lot of the conferences like Jack the Rapper and Impact. It was a lot of conferences like that, and BRE, yeah. A lot of conferences like that at the time where you could come and they would have seminars with industry professionals. If you were young, if you were fascinated by the industry and wanted to come learn from some of the best at their positions, this was the place to be. And it was unique for Philadelphia to have an event like this, because typically you would have to go to Florida or New York, or, I mean, even like the Beasla Convention, that's for the lawyers, that go all the way to Mexico and places like this. But this was a unique opportunity for people here in Philadelphia to attend a star-studded gala and a weekend full of seminars and group discussions. And a lot of people I know to this day got their start from that conference.
Here.
Sir, talk on. Come on.
It was very, they made the business very accessible, right? For what wasn't to you, it was there. Everybody was at your beck and call. Whether it was, whether it was the senior producers or the songwriters or the young up-and-comers like the Puffies or the Albie Shores or the Teddy Rileys or the Tone and Pokes. Those guys were like extremely current for me at that time. And it gave me an opportunity to start having vision of where my place could actually be in the business, and I could start, I guess you could say, start rendering my architectural ways to find my own path for what it is that I wanted to do. So that was a dynamic music convention.
And IAM is actually the International Association for African American Music, right?
Absolutely.
And so shout out to Deanna Williams, who will be honored tomorrow for the Women of Excellence for WDAS. Shout out to DAS, because DAS also had a hip hop program. Mimi, what's up, Rap Digest? Oh, everybody that's Nuff said, y'all clap. Yeah. So Rap Digest was actually phenomenal too. So we want to give Mimi her props also. So now Sherman. Sherman, I would say if we look at the 21st century, right, that your Black Friday movement transformed hip hop in a way that nobody else could have ever seen coming out of Philly. Talk to us about the origins of Black Friday, what you and your brother did, and tell everybody the details of some of them stories you was talking about what y'all did and how y'all took over New York.
All right. Very unique time. It started because, like I stated before, my brother was the senior director of A&R at Atlantic Records. Hated the job.
His name is Mark Byers. I'm gonna keep saying that. Shout out to him.
Hated the job. He used to complain to me constantly, telling me like, yo, these old guys, they don't get it. They don't understand what's going on. We need to turn a new leaf. So he wound up getting frustrated and wound up leaving. And the person couldn't understand how a young African-American kid that's making $150,000 almost 20 years ago would actually just get tired and leave. But there was a plan, because what we understood was without resources, you really have nothing. So we made it a point to leave with resources. And what we wound up establishing were great relationships. And one of those great relationships we wound up establishing was with Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre had interest in an R&B group, and to make a long story short, when he sent his peer here to come look at the group, the dad didn't really understand who Dr. Dre was. He thought he was really a doctor. So the meeting soured, and we're on our way back from Sharon Hill, and I'm mad, I'm pissed to no end. And one of my partners, Sadiq, in the car, he says, yo, like, I'm gonna call Eve. I'm like, well, who's Eve? Yo, it's this girl, like, she hot. Sadiq, is she hot for real? Yo, I'm telling you, she hot. She look like she hot as fish.
Shout out to Sadiq.
So he picks up the phone and he calls Eve, and she's like, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, I don't feel like it. I said, D, give me the phone. I said, Eve, listen, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Why don't you get yourself up? We'll be there to pick you up in about 15 minutes. So Dre's colleague, Mike, he liked cannabis, so he's wanting to get some cannabis. So I said, I'll make sure you get some cannabis when we get on the other side of town.
That is the side of hip hop y'all don't hear about.
Right? So we drive, we get to my mom's house. So the cannabis guy is gonna meet me at my mom's house, but we already have Eve in the car. So when we pick Eve up, Mike thinking that Eve is a cannabis person, right? So I got a CD player and I got tracks that I was managing producers. So I put the tracks on. So Eve went for it. So Mike is in a maze. He's like, yo, the cannabis girl is hot. So I'm like, no, that's not the cannabis girl. The cannabis will be here shortly, but her name happens to be Eve. So he wound up picking up the phone and calling Dre, and he told Dre, yo, I think we got one. And that's how Eve got signed. No deal, no demo.
No demo.
Clearly Tim.
And she was cute. That always helps with girls.
Absolutely.
Right, Malika?
Absolutely.
And for the record, for artists that we managed at that time, no one did a demo to get a deal. It was strictly off of representation.
That's so crazy.
Talent.
I've never gotten a demo in the mail that they said, oh, I want to sign this.
It was hard knocking on your door.
It was no, but the thing is that it was always through familiar sources, but it was always be most expecting when you're least expecting. It just comes from the craziest places. The Fugees came to us. We did the deal for Nas, and we did.
Wait. Don't just mumble that. You did the deal for who?
That. Nas, right? So the Zebrahead soundtrack with Michael Rappaport was this film, and there was a party that night for it, and Rose, who worked for us, at the time was my fiance actually, was head of our retail promotion. She got a tape from a guy named Hassan Sharif, who was an actor in New York, but who was working with the then translator crew. That's what the Fugees called themselves. And they had been passed on by every label. And you can almost see why, because it was like a big kind of organized mess. There was like 9 people and they're all over the place. But Hassan gave Rose the cassette, and Rose bugged me for like 7 weeks to listen to it. And I was just didn't have wasn't really in the listening mood, a lot of things going on. And so she put it in my shirt pocket one day as I'm walking out the door, and I'm driving home, and I take it out and I put it in, and I was like, wow, I don't know, is this reggae? What is this? Where are they from? We went up to see them perform, and I don't remember Lauren from the audition. I don't recall her at all. Matter of fact, there were 2 girls, but there was other people too. There was like 9 people there. And I just remember Wyclef because he was playing acoustic guitar and he was playing it over drum loops, right? Now, it's not as though it had never been done before, but at the time, it was like really almost unheard of. And it was like, and he's a really great guitar player, right? And but he's playing this like, he's a guy from Haiti, right? So he's got the whole island influence, but he spent his formative years in Haiti, but then spent his teen years in Newark, right? In Brooklyn. Yeah. So it was like a really really tasty amalgamation of like island influence, West Indies influence, hip hop and everything. And that's how the deal happened. And like, again, we were their last stop. And Larry Larr, right?
Larry Larr's first
is
He's
indirectly responsible for Cypress Hill. And I'll tell you why real quick, and this will be the last story. We had done the deal with Chuck and them to do the Wizard of Oz, right? And our A&R coordinator up at Columbia was a guy named Kevin Woodley. And so we went up there and had a meeting with Kevin about the Larry Larr record because we felt it wasn't getting the attention and everything. And when we get up there, the girl on the A&R floor says to us, oh, well, Kevin Woodley doesn't work here anymore. It's like, well, who are we supposed to? She goes, well, you could talk to Kurt Woodley, right? No relation, right? So Kurt Woodley, we became really good friends, and he worked with us for a lot of years. He was his first day, and he was not feeling Larry Larr at all. And he was like, I'm talking to him, trying to make a case, and he's like hanging up his new calendar in the office and getting his office together. But I respected the fact that he was totally unapologetic about his opinion. And he said, man, he goes like, that story time shit, man, that's out. It was like everything's getting more serious, it's more street, it's more hardcore. And it's like, oh, right, okay, I get it, And we're walking out the door, and I said, oh, wait, you know what, man? Check this out. And it was like Cypress Hill, right? And because originally I was going to play it for Donnie, the president of the label, and Donnie had already left, so I gave it to Kurt. And then Kurt called me at 10:30 that night, and he goes, yo, man, he goes, I just played this shit for Donnie. We want to do this like right now.
Which Donnie is that?
What's that?
Which Donnie is that?
That Donnie Einer.
Donnie Einer, y'all.
Donnie, yeah. So the thing is, Cypress Hill, they signed with us for less money than everybody else was offering, because we were the only label that didn't say, oh, you can't do that, you can't talk about guns, you can't talk about weed, you can't do, that's what everybody was telling them. And they were getting offers for like $250,000, and they signed with us for I think $72,000.
Shout out that's amazing. That's Rough House Records.
Yeah.
I do want to go back to you. That's crazy, right? Yeah. I do want to go back to Sherman. Sherman said that he got Beanie Siegel's a deal. He got Freeway a deal. He got
The main situation that gets
without a
deal
demo.
was crazy.
Go ahead.
So I'm in New York, and me, Marcus, and Sadiq, we're walking around, we're doing a session, checking a session for Silk. So we walk in the streets, and we go to Jacobs the Jeweler. So we go to Jacobs the Jeweler, and lo and behold, Jay's in there, Jay-Z that is. So we had just seen Jay maybe the weekend before in Cancun, and we had a ball over there. So we were like, yo, we got the hottest dude, just period. So Jay is like,
He's
is he really
on us.
Is he really hot? So I says, yeah. He said, well, bring him up. So we brought him up. Now, mind you, I had to call my buddy Roller to pick Beans up. Beans didn't want to go to New York. Beans was getting ready to go to a dog fight, and he was adamant about it.
A dog fight.
Over an audition with Jay-Z.
He didn't even care about the audition. He said, "Well, I'm gonna go up there, and if they like it, I'm cool. I don't even have any intentions on getting signed."
Jay
goes
was
up
the same
there.
way coming out.
He goes up there, and this guy rhymes for 2 hours straight, nonstop. So when they say 1,000 bars, that's what they meant. The next day they signed him. Now, just to show you how good Jay-Z's memory is, he says, "Hey, Beans, kick that joint that you kicked last night." Beans is like, "Yo, man, I was rapping for almost 2 hours. What do you mean?" Like, he says, "That 16 that you spit last night, spit that." Jay repeated that verse verbatim. How are you going to remember one time hearing something, right? Even in the case with Most Wanted, no demo. Thanks to our good friend Rich Christina. We went to Rich's office and told Rich, "Yo, whoever that you think is hot as a producer, pull up a track." And Most Wanted went for it. Signed him on the spot. So I'm a huge believer of talent. Talent prevails. And then great talent needs to be developed.
Hey, Sherman, real quick, was Beans with Philly Most Wanted at one point?
They had just battled the day before.
Or it was battling?
Bionic didn't go to New York, but Lit was in the car when Roller picked them up to go to New York.
Okay, they was on that trip.
Yeah, they were on that trip.
Okay.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about battles, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. This is a story I heard. They're at dances, my uncle's club. They're at dances, and Beanie is battling people. He already got a deal. So when you have a deal, you shouldn't battle anybody, because if someone beat you, you the whack dude. You're not ask you know.
Yeah, you kind of like tarnish what you got
It's hard,
going on.
right? So
Like professional sports, you shouldn't like skateboard if you play football.
No,
right?
it's not that. You don't want nobody to see you lose. So Beans is at dances, and there's a guy. There's a bunch of guys battling him. It looks like a cipher, but they trying to swarm him because he's the new dude coming out of Philly. And there's a guy in the audience that jumps on the stage. He's like, "Let me at him." Didn't know Beanie, but battled everybody and shut everybody down. Poor Beans. What's that guy's name?
Freeway.
Freeway. Y'all never heard that story? Clap it up for Freeway. Talk to us about how Freeway came in your fold.
Freeway came in the fold based on a relationship from that night. Unfortunately for Free, he had some hardships. He wound up disappearing for a little while. And when he came back around, Beans kept his promise. And that promise was to put him on. And Bean was the one that introduced Freeway to the Rockefeller family, and the rest was history.
So loyalty, because we hear this a lot about rap music, that is a bunch of snakes and vipers, and they're there. But there's also this brotherhood that's there that is, you know, I'm riding with you forever. And you guys at Black Friday, y'all had a lot of brotherhood like that, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, most importantly, because the two principals of the company, which was me and my brother, are brothers.
Yeah.
So we taught camaraderie amongst one another. So it was a management company that was based off of accountability.
And so when we think about Rockefeller, we're gonna go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, right? You had Christian. Christian was a group on Rockefeller. Y'all know Christian? No, exactly. So a break. So then you had who else? You had Jay-Z. You had Memphis Bleak. Y'all know a song by Memphis Bleak that's not connected to Jay?
No.
Probably not, right. So then you got these guys from Philly,
Young guns.
young guys, kind of come up and they actually anchor outside of Jay-Z. And interesting enough, you guys are scholars. I'm assuming that y'all listen to music. All of a sudden, Jay-Z starts rapping like who?
Rockefeller would not be where what they became and everything without the whole state property crew and everything that happened up there.
Shout out to Dame Dash, wherever you are.
Philly was such an anchor for that moment in time because those guys were lyrical killers.
Yeah.
Young lyrical killers. So when it came time for the battles, they put all the battles on their back. When Jay battled with Nas, they got involved. When Jay battled with the Locks, they got involved.
Almost to violence.
Almost.
Almost. Beans was serious.
Beans had like a really, you know, we did a record with Beans and we did a Save Property record. But Beans had what I always loved about what he did was that he would say like a name and describe a person. Like he was like bringing you in the middle of a story. And it was like, and you just wanted to hear, like I wanted to hear about light-skinned Jermaine, wore a suede coat in the rain, like, you know, like didn't care, you know, like it was just really awesome. Like his whole narrative was like really provoking.
Between, I say, Beans and Young Chris were probably two of the best Philadelphia storytellers of all times.
So Nuff Said is here. Can we clap for Nuff Said? He on this panel is representing the new wave in Philadelphia MCing. Talk to us a little bit about what was that like to have these guys, that state property movement, as a kid watching that, listening to that. What did that feel like for you?
Actually, that was kind of like, that was like my introduction for you know, listening to state property, Beanie Siegel. It was like, I was a kid and I was listening to the music and hearing it, and the thing that got to me for real was like, I'm like, damn, they from Philly. Like, they telling me, people were like, all the older guys, like, they from Philadelphia. I'm like, yeah. So the fact that they was from Philly and they was doing that, I was able to see that for my own eyes. Like, it gave me inspiration, like, to know that I can do something like that.
So you influenced different generations. And while we're here, before we talk about Eve, out of the Black Friday movement also comes an individual named Troy Carter, right? So Troy Carter,
Little cousin.
that's your cousin. He and I, this is how Philly is. We were in homeroom together at West Philly High School. Come on, look. Homeroom, Carter Duncan, this is right there. And he was in a group called Too Many.
And we managed Too Many as well.
And Too Many was signed to who? Will Smith, right? And two of the dancers from Too Many, Jazz and Ant, they were background dancers for Larry Lair. So when you hear about Philly being this movement and collective, everybody had to do everything and everybody wanted to do everything. So Little Troy, if you don't know, well, we call him Little Troy. His name is Troy Carter, the businessman. Troy Carter is responsible for this lady named, what's her name? Lady something.
Gaga.
Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga.
I was in Los Angeles and somebody said that, now I didn't know that Troy was, I didn't know about his success and everything, what happened with him.
Because you're just looking at Little Troy.
I remember a couple times he had come up to Rough House and, you know, I just remember this kid, like, you know, and somebody said, so we're going out to Malibu to see Troy's new house. I said, Troy who? I said, Troy Carter. I said, what's he got, family out there or something? Like what's going on? He said, yo, man, where you been? I said, what? He said, he managed Lady Gaga. I was like, I said, dude, you used to come up and hang? Like,
What's crazy is, you know, Troy is a very young-looking guy. So when people look at Troy, when he was younger, they thought he was a little boy. But what we did was we empowered Troy. We gave him power. We made Troy the GM of Black Friday.
Yep.
So that gave him more of a resource power. And when it was time to do his own thing, he was prepared.
He was prepared. What's interesting, there's some other names. He was managing John Legend for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
He was managing Meghan Trainor. This is a little kid from Philly hip hop. And very much influenced by your dad, Kenny Gamble, who also went to West Philadelphia High School. It is something in our, oh, by the way, Nuff Said also went to West Philadelphia High School. Shout out to Speed Boys.
We are everywhere.
Everywhere.
Whether it's within the music business, within the film business, your top earners in regards to musicians, whether it's Jay-Z, Kanye, Beyonce, they all have Philadelphia musicians that support them.
of course. Of course.
This tri-state area is enriched with talent.
And we're not even
No
going to talk
question.
about Amir, because Amir, is he part of the Soul Train estate?
Amir started as an intern at Rough House.
Well, I hear the stories about him.
A funny story about the roots that most people don't know. We were at Sigma sharing space where they were in David Ivy's room. David had the smallest room. Just imagine the whole Roots crew waiting to record in David Ivy's small room. And mind you, you're ordering food and they weren't making money at the time. So I used to always say, like, well, how all these guys, if they do get a deal, how are they going to eat? Like it's a lot of them. It's a crew, right? So once me and Mark wound up having this relationship with Russell Simmons, Derek Jackson and Francesca Sparrow had a relationship with me and Mark, and they wound up coming to Philadelphia, and they were like, well, look, who else down there is this got talent? So we wound up just, taking a ride all around town, just to different talent pools. And the last stop was at the Plateau. And
A place called the Plateau is where everybody.
and that's where the Roots got discovered by Francesca, because we made that introduction.
Oh, that is left. Tap that up. Tap that up.
Ironically, I just want to say, I first met Amir in the Roots at Troy Carter's and Jazz's video shoot. Where's the party?
Where's the party?
Party.
There's a party over here. Amen. All right, so I want to throw it over
Way
to
back.
Nuff said, because we're wrapping up and we do want to have Q&A. We want some questions if there are some. So Nuff said is currently signed to Jim Jones, or I don't know if you're signed to Jim Jones, but you're a part of the Jim Jones Bird Gang too, right? And so he
Vamp
is...
Life.
Vamp Life.
Yeah,
Vamp
yeah.
Life. And so you're one of the premier artists out of Philadelphia. Talk to me about your journey and how did he find you? How did Jim Jones, this Harlem guy, find you?
Social media. That's the biggest thing that's out right now that get you seen and all that. So, me and my manager, he back there, but we did a video that went viral. So what I be doing, I do freestyles on like social media. We'd do like raw joints on in a car or something like that. We'd just turn the camera on, turn the beat on, and I'd just go crazy. So the one particular one was us sitting inside of a car just rapping, and it went viral. So from that point on, it just so many people was tapping in, and he was one of the guys that found it, and he shot me a DM, and we just took it from there. Yeah.
No more demos.
Yeah, I heard y'all saying demos and how people's. That was kind of like.
Philly, we don't do demos.
Yeah, I ain't put
Oh,
a.
the legacy. You ain't even know.
We don't do demos.
Well, I'm carrying the torch because I ain't put a demo.
Carry it well.
But yeah, so basically that's how that went from there, and and then that's Vamp Life, Empire, all that. Yep.
So I hope you guys got a quick slice out of this hip hop. It's so much richer than this, and we don't have enough time to go into some of the amazing details. However, if there are some questions here from anybody, we with it. What's up, my brother?
I have a couple questions. First off, my cheeks hurt from smiling so much. My cheeks hurt from smiling so much. That was excellent. I have a lot of admiration and adoration for what you guys have done as a community and the community that you guys built. Two questions, if I can. One more broad and one very specific for Chris. The more broad one. I got into underground hip hop really kind of, I don't know, I got really into underground hip hop around 2005 to the late 2000s. And when I was diving into that scene, it was Philadelphia and I'm from Canada, so pretty far away.
Shout out to you.
And it was Philadelphia that really ended up holding kind of the torch during that era with cats like Jedi Mind Tricks and Army of the Pharaohs. And it felt like Philadelphia was kind of the center of that in many ways. Obviously, there was cats that were outside of that arena, but it felt like Philadelphia really held stake there. I was wondering if maybe broadly you guys could speak about the underground movement that Philadelphia had. I know earlier than that, I got really into like Last Emperor and stuff like that as well. And then specifically for Chris, I did a piece for a magazine a couple years ago on Penn State and college hip hop in Philadelphia, in Philadelphia, but Pennsylvania broadly. It was specifically regarding Lewis Logic and Black Ops and some of that crew. But one of the names that got brought up was the Mountain Brothers.
Right.
And I heard a story that they ended up winning, and I can't remember the exact details, but I think the story was that they ended up winning some like Mountain Dew contest, then ended up going on tour. They got to go on tour with like Tribe or something, and then that's how they ended up getting the deal. But I know you were instrumental, at least in some of the Mountain Brothers.
They were the first ever recorded, like, on a label, Asian hip hop group. Yeah, the Mountain Brothers, Chops, their producer, they made a really great record. And, it had pockets of popularity. We had a group called the Goats. And the Goats were like a rock rap group. And what happened was they broke up for just reasons, and after they had done 2 records. But we got more fan mail over the next 10 years on the Goats than Cypress, Crisscross, Fugees combined. And it's crazy because it was like from Eastern Bloc countries, from South America, like all these like crazy places. And so like the Mountain Bros, the same type of thing. It was like they would have constituencies of like, followers like in like different places throughout the world. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that, there wasn't for Asian people, there weren't any groups that they could point to in North America that they could call their own.
How did you end up hearing about the Mountain Brothers?
Excuse me?
How did you end up getting familiar with the Mountain Brothers? Do you know?
Cause he popping. Go ahead.
That was like more of a Joe thing. I just remember they were just there and they just started, making records and everything.
I got all the good demos.
Yeah, we got all the demos.
I remember, y'all got all the demos, man. I remember being in your office one time and Rose came across Cardinal's demo. Cardinal Official. I was just like, wow. Now look.
Now look.
Well, a lot of stuff got passed on too.
Well, for sure. I mean, you're not going to catch everything. You don't have time for everything either.
Wait. I'm trying to collect the dots, right? Because you said Crisscross, right?
Yeah.
Crisscross was Jermaine Dupri's first big thing, right?
He was the first producer under the age of 18 to have a multi-platinum record.
There'd be no Jermaine Dupri, Welcome to LA, none of that if it wasn't for what you guys did with Crisscross to make you jump.
Right. We met Jermaine because he was producing a group for Geffen.
Silk Time Leather?
Yeah, Silk Times Leather. And so after Silk Times Leather, I guess that record didn't happen. They bought us a Crisscross record. And originally the Crisscross record was supposed to be this very introspective record about, a 12-year-old kids and making that decision about what they want to do. Who are going to be the role models? Are they going to be the guys over here who are doing this, or is it going to be the guy over here who owns a bank and stuff like that? And it was like this whole thing, and all that kind of went out the window later on when the Jump song happened. But
It's interesting because when we think about Crisscross, they were kid rappers, right? Philly is really the anchor for kid rappers because all you guys were teenagers. But then we have the youngsters, right? The youngsters were out. But then we also, it just was a theme of young MCs out of this area. Underground hip hop, one of the things that Philly is known for is the battle rap scene. Right? Philly guys are known to go anywhere and just battle. I love the story of Gilly will always tell going up to Chris Lighty's Violator and just be in a room and just battle everybody. You know what I'm saying? So Cassidy is for me, he's still very hot in the battle rap scene. And then we have Inez and also Reed Dollars. And so when you talk about the underground, you don't get much more underground than them. And there's a myth that says that battle rappers can't make music. They actually can. One battle rapper, she's not from Philly, but she is fire. Her name is Miss Hustle. And she makes amazing music also, so. There we go.
And Philly's also in hip hop. It's also at one point we were like the city for DJs. We love
Absolutely.
DJs.
Absolutely. So they used to be called the World.
Yeah,
Supremacy.
Cash Money. We
Yeah.
took that every year.
It's not just Cash. It was Jazzy Jeff first.
DJ Miz.
Then it was Jeff, then Cash Money, then Miz. Look,
But Grand Wizard Rasheen, we can't forget him.
Cash 1-3.
Cash was
Right.
world supremacist.
yeah.
World Supremacy, DMC.
Oh, because Sherman also manages DJ Cash Money. Go ahead. I'm sorry. He gets all the money.
Cash was world supremacist.
Okay.
But the rest of them won national competitions in regards to Jeff and DJ Miz.
But Cash 1-3.
Cash was acrobatic.
Cash won three, right?
right?
Cash won 3, but he also won world supremacy DJ.
But who won it? I think Jeff won it first when he did the. So then there's a great argument between who originated the Transformer. So, Philly hip hop. That's a whole nother conversation about Philly DJs. And
Can't
shout out to
forget DJ Too Tough.
who?
DJ Too Tough.
Yeah,
Oh,
right. And also Cosmic Kev, who Cash Money told me was one of the earliest ones. We hear him now on the radio, but he was there in the 70s, the late 70s also. Is another question? Anybody?
Hello, I'm here. Hi, thank you so much for this panel. I'm from the UK, just outside Liverpool, and we have immense civic pride, and this panel and last night's panel has really shown the civic pride of Philadelphia, so thank you for that. What's really interesting is you said that you don't do demos, but you certainly do intros, and networking and community is a big part of what Philadelphia does. I wonder if anyone on the panel really could just talk a bit more about how important that is. Certainly it was then, and how important it is now.
I think Philadelphia is geographically, it's a major metropolitan city, but it's not too big, it's not too small. It's big enough that everybody's not crowded together in competition with each other as musicians and artists and creators. But it's small enough that there's a people help each other, and there's like a real community.
It's definitely a cohesiveness here with the creators. Everyone takes part in helping someone get to that next tier.
In addition to helping each other here in Philadelphia, we paved the way for a lot of artists from New York. While they're the mecca of it, a lot of artists from here had to come here to get broken.
Diggable
I mean,
planet.
even paving the way for producers. I mean, if it wasn't
Yes.
for Philadelphia Most Wanted, we would have never known who Pharrell, who the Neptunes
That's
were.
right.
If it wasn't
Yes.
for Beanie Siegel, we would have never known who Kanye West was.
Yes.
If it wasn't for Beanie Siegel, we would have never known who Just Blaze was.
Well, I just wanted to shout out, this is a perfect time, Ron Amon-Ra Lawrence and Derek D. Angeletti, two of the significant members of Bad Boys Hitmen, tracks like The Benjamins and Money, Power, Respect. We've had a lot of influence. I mean, I know they did a lot of that work up in New York, but
But they live here.
Two Kings in a Cypher, they were a rap group
Yeah,
long
they changed
ago.
and came here.
Yeah.
What do you think about networking and how we network as artists and architects in New York? I mean, Philadelphia.
Like today time, like what's going on now? Because it seems like y'all talking about.
We're talking about all across. So
Yeah, y'all sound like y'all talking about the history of what y'all been. Because it's a little different now. Like,
How is it now?
it's not as everybody don't come together as well. As far as with the field that I'm in and what I see, everybody don't come together. It's not as the way that y'all had it at one point. It's not like that too much now. It's like everybody for themselves for real out here in Philly.
I was just gonna say, how you see it being better?
Ego, people egos, and just like everybody want to be the man. So it's like people egos come together, and it's like everybody just kind of like don't get along too much. Everybody want to I feel like basically like everybody just got to understand that we on the same mission, and if we work together, everything comes faster.
You know what's so funny? Because I can remember, you could tell me, all y'all could probably jump in. I remember when Steady B and Will Smith battled on the radio.
Absolutely.
Right? And they both went to Overbrook. So they were in class with each other. But there was this energy like, I'm better than you, you better than me. I'm better than you, you ain't better than me. Like this energy, because hip hop is about vibrato in a lot of ways. And I remember coming up, because I'm really from West Philly. So I'm like a couple of blocks down from Redfield Street where all those guys grew up. And they really didn't like Will. They liked Will, but they didn't like him. That sucker, like da-da-da, right? And it's a lot of that. But when you get away from it years later, you can sit back and be like, oh, actually, we did kind of look out. Like, here's an example. And it's not, and it's always been, you ain't better than me, and I'm not messing with you because I don't want you to get ahead of me. It's always kind of been that, right? But what I feel is the Philly way, when I met you in New York, because I'm a journalist. So I met him in New York, and I wound up talking to him, and he said, I'm from Philly. And after that, other artists were jealous because I spent the majority of the time with him. Because I'm from West Philly, and anything I can do for somebody from West Philly, I don't even need to know you that much. If you give off the vibe, it's what it is. And that is kind of it is the connecting of the dots, right? So I came out here, you performed out in West Philly at this spot.
Yeah, Blue Brook. It's called Blue Brook.
Part of the network.
Lancaster.
Part of the networking is to see like how the average Joe people kind of came out to you, because it seems like what's different for your generation is that social media piece. And the way your city shows you love is better than, we didn't have social media, so we had to kind of meet up with each other. Yours is kind of different because, and it's always been snakes in the grass, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll take it back to like the whole Black Friday era, right? What I understood at that time is that if I had one person from North Philly that was on, eventually somebody from West Philly wouldn't like the person that was from North Philly, and vice versa, right? So what we did was we made sure that we peeled talent from each part of the city, so everybody from each part of the city would have their own representation to lobby for, to keep the monotony down. That way, when everybody would wind up coming in one common place, everybody was on. Not one person, but everybody was on.
Yeah, it's missing that type of what you talking about. So it's basically split North Philly, Southwest, West Philly, everybody just separated.
But
that's how it is right now.
You had a ball, right? You had a ball right now, right?
Yeah.
Because the spotlight is on you.
Yeah.
Your responsibility is to go find somebody from each sector that you feel as though is cohesive to what you're building, and make them a part of what you have going on, and it winds up being strength in numbers.
It's crazy because in my mind, I'm thinking about this, and you kind of do this, right? There's and it's not necessarily. Talk to me about how artists reach out to you and how you work with artists, and what does that process look like for an artist to reach out to you from, most of them are from Philly. I've seen some videos and stuff that you've been in.
Yeah, I just did a few. Yeah, most of the features I done recently been in Philly. Like, so, yeah, so, people reach out, and what I do is I know how it is, just to like, I'm still not all the way where I want to be at neither. So it's like some artists, they just trying to get their feet where they trying to, get themselves out there. And I know how it is, you know what I'm saying? So I kind of be hands-on with it more. I think I overextend myself a little bit, because if I'm a part of anything, I try to really actually be all the way into it. I don't try to be like, all right, y'all do your verse and just go ahead and go be Ghost or something and then don't care. So every video that you seen, I actually was hands-on with the studio process, the video process, the ideas, all that. And so I think that's like the part that y'all saying, like just being more into it with the people and just like making sure that people feel compensated, whereas though like it don't matter what part of the city you from. It's just if you from Philly, like we working, and I'm not jealous of you, and we not we just gonna work and try to get to the top. So that's how I work with it about it.
So Nuff said, and Sherman, does it seem like when you have the opportunity to work outside of the city, it's easier to bring people, be like, yo, it really ain't about the parts, it's about Philly as a whole, but you kind of got to get out of the city to see that?
I'll give you another example. Place in Eve was outside of the city. Place in Beans was outside of the city, right? But it helped bring the light to the city. They were almost like, they're almost like sacrificial lambs, right? Let me sacrifice this lamb so that I can bring the whole flock in.
Right, yeah. That's kind of similar to my situation. Jim Jones is from New York, you know, and he came in and got me. I ain't like, so it's like basically what you were saying with that. It's like people from outside the city are to me, that's how I feel. People from outside the city would try to do something with you like that before inside the city.
Well, the thing that we have to remember most importantly is that Philadelphia is a talent town and not an industry town.
Oh, say that again, 'cause that should be on somebody's t-shirt. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying?
Something has to do too with the mic check.
Wait,
Okay, I've got no microphone. Maybe I turned
Right
it
there,
off.
right there.
I think a lot of it has to do too is that there's a lot of transients happening now in production and like the amount of records that artists put out, you know. And I mean, I've watched guys come into the studio and they come in, they spend, you know, about 6 or 7 hours listening to different tracks from different sources and everything. They find the one, they put their left and right, and then they do a vocal, and they do the ad-libs, and then that's it, and it's done. There's only like 4 or 5 tracks on the song, but they shoot a video for it 2 days later, right? And they get on YouTube and everything, and this is like a cycle, and they just keep doing it. That's why you see these groups, and some of them have like 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 videos out, right? And I think when you have that much capacity of so many things happening, there's less time of people sitting down and like, you know, Joey, my ex-partner, and I used to talk about hip hop in terms of like, okay, you know, it's like back in the day, we didn't call hip hop songs. We called them tracks, right? They were tracks. But why weren't they songs? They were songs. And you treat it like a song, right? So a song has all the processes that go into creating a song and everything. I think it's directly correlated to like the relationship issues between people from inside and outside the city. When I started in 1981, I didn't know that there was like a thing between North Philly and West Philly. You know, I just knew that they had different haircuts. You know, I didn't know it was like a right. But it's like, but going to what you were talking about, you know, like. I don't see what I saw is like really like people genuinely wanting to help each other and everything. And I think it's sort of like a mentality that's kind of creeped into hip hop, and a lot of it's manifests itself in the worst possible ways, you know, with the drill hip hop, all that stuff. I mean, I think when you take away the creative process, it's left with a lot of people just trying to get things out there and making it happen, and they want to do it as quickly as possible, and that means that nobody's going to stop to talk to each other.
Yeah, that's it. And we're going to have to wrap up soon. If we have a couple of more questions, or maybe one question. Yes, my love.
Yeah, so I want to know, Mom, what was the first song that you heard of your daughter on the countdown? And then I want to know what was your first song, or not your first song, but what was the song you're most proud of? Was it on the countdown, or was it something that you just spit at a club? And then I want to know everybody's go-to that gets every generation on the dance floor from Philly. Mom, you first.
Mom, you first.
Oh, she's talking about you.
Oh, me.
What was
Yes.
the first song you heard of hers?
On the countdown, or
On
on
the-
the radio.
She had a book of
Black and white
verses.
composition book.
The composition book I used to find all over the place. The first actual song was actually with Bobby Dance.
Correct.
Co-rock Steady.
Nice.
Yes. My second song I was more proud of, it was called She's Bad. And that was the one that was directly on Select Records. So I thought I was spitting bars. Cole Rocksteady was cute, but on She's Bad, I thought I was spitting bars on She's Bad.
Oh, this is good. We're about to talk about, everybody go down. What song gets everybody out on the floor from Philly? I'm gonna say from West Philly. From Philly.
Hip hop song or?
Yeah, hip hop song. Chris?
Saturday Night by Schoolie D.
Saturday night, and I'm feeling kind
Every
of.
time that cowbell came, that was an accident too. That was like, it was, what's the hand you always use? Was that had the two, you had the two tracks that you could go between, and that cowbell was something somebody put in there the night before, and that clink, 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 clink. Every time, any club, anywhere, I heard that, people would just like run, you know, to dance to it.
For me, it's Cool C Glamorous Life. It's a rap. That's a banger. Yup.
I think Eve with Tambourine.
Get your tambourine.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That just made me.
Dang, I'm a little torn here, but I think I'm gonna go with the first one I thought of. Nah, the first one I thought of.
Say it too. Say it too.
I can say my two?
Yes, say it too.
Oh, see, she redeeming herself.
Time to redeem myself.
All right, so the second one I thought of was Dreams and Nightmare, Meek Mill. Gotta go with that. That's our Super Bowl song right there. But the first one I thought of is Flip Side, Petey Crack and Freeway.
Petey Crack is one of the most underrated rappers.
I couldn't agree more, Chris.
I think that guy is like amazing, and I just,
He's fire.
he's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of took my answers with the dream and nightmares though, because that's like something that when I'm in the club. But we all said that. You said that.
No, he said it. You can say two too.
Yeah, because that's when I'm in the club right now. That's what once that come on, that be taking over every time. But dang. Oh, okay, yeah. That's my
That's
one right
yours?
there. Yeah.
So me, I would say Brand New Funk by Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. I would say that is a banger. And I would say Freeway, even though what we do is wrong.
Oh, that's another.
Because when you hear that,
That's it.
even though what we do,
Hey, and Crack did Petey Crack did a nice with the brand new Funk 2K flip that they did with him and Jeff. That was nice too. But the original, yeah.
We put out a new Tough Crew record, and he's on it. Awesome track.
oh, Tough Crew,
Yeah.
my part of town. Like that used to be,
I was
so.
concerned about Tough Crew over here for the last hour. Nobody did.
See, well, I'm glad you said it on the mic so we can hear it.
Oh, dang, Chris, you set yourself up for
Let
that.
me say, there was a time that if you were at a party, the Tough Crew, and people didn't even know who they were, but if you put that Tough Crew song on,
Yeah.
I was trying to manage them at the beginning.
they were too wild. They didn't want nobody to
But
manage them.
Mitch wouldn't let me in.
Which is crazy. So the guy, Mel, Chaos, used to be their DJ, is now the producer for Jaden-Smith and Willow. So while Jaden-Smith and them are from LA, we still claim them because their dad is still from Philly. Shout out, we gonna stand by Will about that. So you guys, we wanna thank you guys for having us here. One last round, everybody just say their last words and then, you know what I'm saying, we out. If y'all got a project, if y'all got social media, let them know what's going on. Start with you, Chris.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Social.
Yes.
Let's see, it's,
What you doing now?
Rough Nation, are you on my social media or what?
You can do all of it.
I'm
Just-
doing that. I'm doing Rough Nation Entertainment. So we have we're a vinyl distribution company. We have our own pressing plant out in Nottingham. That's run by Phil Nicolo, which is my ex-partner's twin brother. Mix and match and trade them with your friends. And then we're doing I'm involved in a company in Canada called My Seat, and it's an app. It's a white label app. It's customizable. Integrates for everything. It's for fan engagement, merchandising, subscriptions. We're doing a subscription service. We're doing one with Vibe magazine, and we're doing another one with Spin magazine. We're Variant. We're doing a partnership with another company in Canada to do album cover variants. First time in history, able to do up to 100,000 different covers of an album with the same design, each distinguishable from the other. And there's a couple other things I forget.
He getting money, y'all.
Gee whiz.
Right.
Well, I kind of taken a break off of managing and kind of got more into product that don't talk back. So I can sell companies like BuzzFeed, PepsiCo, Visa. I have a joint venture with Warner Brothers called Protect the Culture Records, for which all my endeavors are in the diaspora of Africa. And really out here just, living from a standpoint of purpose right now. It's not about the money anymore. It's about what personally makes me feel good. And I could be reached on social media platforms by my personal name, which is Sherman Byers, and that's Sherman, B as in boy, Yers, and thank you for having me.
And he's being modest, but if you ever want to get in contact with anybody in Philly, you be like, Sherman, can you make the call? And then somebody else will be like, Sherman told me to call you. I know I was ignoring your text, Nikki, but Sherman said call.
So right now, I've worked as a children's librarian for maybe like the last 14 years. So I've actually found a way to merge my love for music and hip hop in the library. So I've just recently created a nonprofit organization called the Hip Hop Library. So we do storytelling, we do book clubs, we do author visits. I've brought DMC to a couple of the libraries. I've brought the Meek Mills to libraries, the Brashear Grays, the Charlie Mack. So I use my friends in the industry, Lady B. I do programming because sometimes I teach the kids coding. So whenever we have like successful stories, I still utilize my resources with Lady B and Mimi and take the kids to the radio stations and take them on tours and take them to shows. So I use hip hop music to promote literacy amongst young people.
And so it's a great opportunity for me to just thank you publicly. As a little girl growing up in Philly, in love with rap music, there wasn't a lot of entry spaces for me.
Okay.
I wasn't a guy. And the things that Schoolie D was talking about, even though I lived near PSK, that was really scary for me. Like I didn't see where I connected. But when there was a Roxanne Shante, where there was a Malika Love, where there was an Yvette Money, a Lady B, a Salt and Pepper, I was able to see myself in spaces that were occupied mostly by men. So I want to thank you for doing that for me, because since then I've been able to do a lot of great things in my life and been able to work in a lot of spaces. And I always remember being 11, 12, 13, 14 and being like, I can do it. And I could do it because you did it. So thank you.
You're so welcome. Real fast, I just want to say one thing that the Hip Hop Library did. We had it because they don't acknowledge Philadelphia in a lot of ways. And you know, Lady B and Mimi Brown were the two that put hip hop on the radio for us. We had the task of actually getting their street renaming, where both of those two grew up at. We got their street renamed after them a couple years ago.
Representation is important.
I'm very excited about this new company my partners and I started about 1.5 years ago. That's the Sons of Legends Foundation. We recently shored up a partnership for this summer where we'll do our first songwriters camp here in Philadelphia, working alongside Warner Chappell Music, which has been the publisher for Gamble, Huff and Bell for the last almost 35 years next June. So there's more details coming for that. This is going to be a great opportunity for 50 people, producers, songwriters, and artists to create new works from the catalog of Gamble, Huff and Bell for the Grammy category, Best Song for Social Change, and embody the spirit of Gamble, Huff and Bell and all those great messages that they permeated through the globe over the last 60 years. So that's the most current thing, and celebrate in June the 45th anniversary of Black Music Month this coming June. June 7th, for anybody that didn't know, is the official anniversary for June Black Music Month. It was founded by the BMA, which stands for the Black Music Association, which Kenneth Gamble, Deanna Williams, and a gentleman named Ed Wright co-founded back in 1975. So this summer will be the 50th anniversary of the BMA. So I'm carrying the baton of the legacies that my parents have carved out since long before I was even thought of, and we're doing our due diligence to make sure that their work creating the landscape that most of us get to enjoy now is preserved, and we understand the origin stories of the work that they put forth to allow us to thrive now.
And so before we go to Nuff said, I just want to add on to that. The Sons of Legends Foundation is really, really important. I love it. I mean, his mother gave me my first job. But I also want you all to recognize that he also works with Hakeem Bell, who's the son of Cool from Kool and the Gang, right?
Yes, yes.
And he's also worked with
Fad Mtume, who's the son of James Mtume, and we're doing our best to connect with as many of the next generation from a lot of these estates over the course of American music history, so that we can really create a narration that is reflective of how our loved ones who participated in the growth of Black music, how they would want it to be remembered. We want to make sure that their voices are heard and not forgotten. And where you create these songs and do deals with these labels and publishers, they look at these as assets. And at the end of the day, these songs mean everything to our loved ones. And we want to make sure that it's okay to understand the business side of this. Yes, they do become assets, but at the end of the day, don't forget the creators that made it possible for these assets to exist.
And so if people want to get in touch with you, whether they want to partner with you all, maybe they might want to bring you guys out or something like that, how can they get in contact with you?
I can be reached on all social channels by my government, Caliph, C-A-L-I-P-H, last name Gamble, G-A-M-B-L-E, and I can be emailed at Caliph@sonsoflegendsfdn.com.
Nuff said is the rap Teddy Pendergrass.
Yeah. Huh?
That's what I be saying.
That's what.
I'm ill like that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I just appreciate y'all for letting me come out and just, suck up some knowledge for real, for real. I learned some things just this short time, just listening to y'all talk, man. So I appreciate that. And like Nikki said earlier, like me and her met up New York. And it was like a media thing that was going on that the label had us doing, promoting our album. And I ain't really good with the talking and with people like that, but like they had a lot of like media outlets there, and I'm going around the room, I'm talking to everybody in front of the camera and all that, but once I got to her, I felt comfortable. She made me feel comfortable, and she told me she was from West, and we both went to West, different years, but
I'm 50. Get into this mug, honey. The black don't crack.
Yeah. But yeah, she made me feel real comfortable, man. When she told me she, from West, I had good energy and all that. So, she invited me here today just for me to sit here, talk to y'all, and just learn some things. And I appreciate y'all for letting me, come out here. And on social media, Nuff said 215. That's NUFF SAID 215. Definitely one of the artists is from Philly, West Philly. I take West Philly. I put that on my sleeve, with that on my sleeve, on my heart, and all that. So I just appreciate y'all, and I thank y'all for letting me come out.
Buying some of that music, Bergen too. Thank you all for coming, and I'm Nikki Duncan-Smith. It's Nikki Duncan-Smith everywhere. Shout out to y'all. Thank you. Thank you to Selby. Oh, shout out to Faith Newman. Faith Newman's over at Reservoir. She was the one that kind of really initiated this whole panel, and also she's the one that signed Nas. She was the one. Yeah, she had to work. Oh, she had to work. Shout out to her. We love her. I'm Philly too.
Yeah, she is from Philly.